Alright guys, it's time for Kitty. He doesn't care because he wants his food. Kitty's Militaria. So as promised, we're going to take a look at Operation Maslenica. With that and Kitty's permission, he don't care because he's grubbing down right now. Let's dive into it. Operation Maslenica was a Croatian army offensive launched in January 1993 to retake territory in northern Dalmatia and Lika from the Krajina Serb forces, with the stated objective of pushing the Serbs back from approaches to Zadar, Maslenica, and Karlovac, allowing a secure land route between Dalmatia and northern Croatia to be opened. While an undoubted Croatian tactical success, the operation was condemned by the UN Security Council. In early September '91, during the opening stages of the Croatian War of Independence, Serb-dominated units of the Knin Corps of the Yugoslav People's Army, under the command of Colonel Ratko Mladic and supported by the ethnic Serb Krajina militia, conducted offensive operations against areas under the Croatian government's control in northwestern Dalmatia. Despite vigorous resistance, at the time, inexperienced, poorly armed units of the Croatian army, police, and local militias succumbed to superior forces and had to abandon their positions, including the strategically important Maslenica area, the site of a key bridge connecting Dalmatia with the rest of Croatia. Fighting continued in subsequent months, during which the JNA and Krajina Serbs managed to gradually expand territories under their control and even threaten the major urban center of Zadar. The Maslenica was blown up in November by the Serb forces. In January '92, the Sarajevo Armistice and the arrival of UNPROFOR solidified battle lines into the boundary between Croatian government control and the self-proclaimed RSK. Although this provided months of relative peace to the citizens of Croatian-controlled Dalmatia, the situation proved to be untenable in the long term because the region was severed from the rest of the country, despite nominally having a land link. The usual land routes through Bosnia, Lika, and Dalmatia were controlled by the Serbs, both in Croatia and Bosnia. This forced traffic and commerce to use ferry boat services and the Pag Bridge, connecting Pag Island to the mainland. The Pag Bridge was also damaged by JNA air forces in 1991, causing doubts about its long-term viability as a logistic route. Furthermore, the Serb army also controlled Peruća hydroelectric dam near Sinje and threatened its destruction, which could have flooded the Cetina Valley, leaving Dalmatia without power. The fact that Dalmatia was severed from the rest of Croatia had an effect on Croatian internal politics since the Sarajevo Armistice. The government of Franjo Tudjman was constantly criticized for using apparently ineffective diplomacy instead of direct military action to liberate the rest of the country. Sorry, I lost my place there. The elections for the Croatian Chamber of Counties and various local and regional assemblies were scheduled for February 7th, and many expected far-right opposition parties to use the issue to make gains against Tudjman's center-right HDZ party. The Croatian army and special units started the offensive in the Maslenica and Zadar area on January 22nd. RSK forces were initially taken by surprise and initially failed to offer any meaningful resistance. One of the reasons for the initial Croatian success was the unprecedented use of Croatian naval and air forces, which was the only instance of Croatian ground, naval, and air forces acting in concert in a single major operation. As a result, Maslenica and areas around Zadar were liberated, and the Croatian army continued to push into the hinterland of northern Dalmatia. Janko Bobetko, the Croatian army general in charge of the operation, was hailed as a national hero, and the city of Zadar saw public celebrations. 6 days later, seeing RSK forces being overwhelmed, the 122nd Home Guard Regiment of the Croatian army near Sinje conducted its own offensive operation against the Peruća Dam. The dam was taken, but not before RSK forces detonated explosives that left it damaged. The dam held together long enough to prevent massive flooding, but not long enough to prevent a major loss of hydroelectric power, which would plague Dalmatia for much of the next year. The 200-foot-high dam held back an estimated 17 billion cubic feet of water in a narrow lake that stretched for 12 miles. The collapse would have unleashed the water down the Cetina Valley, affecting close to 50,000 people. Pieces, LOL. In meantime, the RSK forces reorganized, stormed arms depots held by UNPROFOR, and began to resist advancing Croatian forces more effectively. The government in Belgrade failed to honor its promises of military intervention in the case of a major Croatian offensive in the Krajina. But the arrival of volunteers from Serbia proper, including units commanded by Arkan, improved RSK morale to a certain extent. Those forces mounted a ferocious counterattack, which, although ultimately repulsed, resulted in many Croatian casualties, and the Croatian advance lost its momentum. Partially due to international pressure, partly because of the potential for huge casualties to affect the outcome of elections, and partly because of the impression that the most immediate aims were met, the Croatian government decided to halt the offensive. The fighting continued in a series of local attacks and counterattacks, with minor pieces of territory changing hands, and the Dalmatian coastal cities of Zadar and Šibenik being occasionally shelled by Serb artillery. By the autumn of '93, all those incidents declined, and both sides held the lines that would be unchanged until Operatio Oluja. Croatian military units that took part in this victorious operation include the 4th Guards Brigade, Tactical Groups 112 and 113, Zadar and Šibenik respectively, 126th Brigade, the 7th Home Guard Regiment, 40th Engineers Battalion, 72nd Military Police Battalion. Also special units of the MUP, parts of the 9th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st Guards Brigade, land, diversionary, and naval forces of the HRM, and helicopter squadrons of the HRZ took part. According to sources, Croatia sustained 114 KIA, and the Serbs suffered 490. There you go, guys. That's the book fork for it. Let's take a look at what my boy Mladen the mannequin is wearing. He, of course, is outfitted in his 1st Guards Brigade. It's a Grovey shirt, camo shirt. He's got a tactical assault vest, keeping the sun out of his eyes when he's shooting at Chetniks downrange. He's got the Ray-Bans aviators. Up top side, my boy's got a really salty DDR M5676 helmet. This one is really salty. It came from my buddy in Italy. And taking a look around the side here, looks like my boy is a medic. He's got his combat pack ready to help out his bottle buddies. Whoever gets wounded, he's there. Just know Mladen the mannequin has your back. Alright guys, this video was long overdue. I'm going to finish up the editing process on this right now and get it out. It's probably not going to be in time for the anniversary of Operation Maslenica, but we're going to get it out here shortly. Just wanted to thank all of you again for subscribing, and thanks for your likes. It definitely boosts me in the algorithm. Like, TikTok doesn't know where to put my content. Yeah, it just kind